Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is Stephen Flynn and how embarrassed he looked in Westminster today. So this story is about Stephen Flynn, who's the SNP MP, who's the leader of the SNP in the Westminster group. And recently he declared that he wants to stand as a candidate in the next Holyrood election, which would mean one of two things. He either stops being an MP and creates a by-election, which I doubt SNP would want if he was to become an MSP, or he would do what they call dual rolling, which means he would have a seat in both Westminster and Holyrood. It's created a big stooshy. People who think that there's an SNP, MSP in the constituency he wants to be considered as a candidate, and it's a bit unfair for her. And a lot of people are trying to read between the lines to say, well, what's going on here? And the Wise Money feels that what he's trying to do is make a play so he can get into Holyrood and become the leader of the SNP. So that's what's afoot here, right? Now, there's another sort of side story to this. And when the new government was formed and were setting up their committees and stuff, there was no seat in the Scottish Affairs Committee for any SNP MPs because of their low numbers, and they kicked up a right stooshy. So what happened, Labour actually gave up one of their seats in the Scottish Affairs Committee, which is headed by the Scottish Secretary of State, who's obviously Labour, and they allowed the SNP to put somebody into that committee. And guess what? It was Stephen Flynn. So he's sitting today, right, at a committee meeting for the Scottish Affairs, and a woman MP decided to ask a cracking question. And when she asked the chair the question, guess who's sitting next to her? Stephen Flynn. And that question was about double jobbing. And although she didn't name Stephen Flynn, it was quite obvious who she was having a pop at. So what I'm going to do now is just play the clip and just imagine how you can see him for a couple of seconds as she's asking the question, and it becomes very evident who she's talking about. And it's fantastic. So have a wee listen and watch at this.
Given the Scottish Office's remit is to promote Scotland's devolution, that means that our two parliaments with separate responsibilities. Does the Secretary of State think that double jobbing should be confined to the past and our residents deserve more?
Well, I mean, the Scottish Parliament can essentially put together the rules and regulations of which they want to do. I know individual parties do that as well. Double jobbing is something that I would find incredibly difficult. There's not enough time in the day to do one job, let alone two, particularly if we want to represent our constituents properly as well. So I would have thought that double jobbing is something that we would want to make sure doesn't happen. Has of course happened in the past, but you know, everyone sitting around this table will know how difficult it is to be a constituency MP, let alone having other responsibilities as well. So yes, I would have thought that the Scottish Parliament may want to look at that, and I know that the UK Parliament are looking at it because it's a Labour Party policy, it was in our manifesto.
There you go, cracking it. So he guys basically saying, no, you shouldn't do it, and he's quite right. I mean, it must be a horrific, if you're going to do the job properly, a horrific amount of work involved in being an MP alone, or even an MSP. So to think that you can do both is pretty incredible. And he's laid out, the Scottish Secretary laid out in no uncertain terms that his party only doing it because they had it in their manifesto. So interesting. Stephen, Mr. Self-Importance, obviously heavily embarrassed about that today, and hell slap it into him. So if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe and notification button. Comments below as normal, love them. But most importantly of all, unless you're Stephen Flynn, any of these SNP people that think that they are above everybody else, and indeed have double standards because they slaughtered Douglas Ross when he was double jobbing. So not you, but
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.